My name is Olga Bazanova. I am an artist. I've been drawing since childhood, practically since birth. As soon as I had a pencil in my hand, I started drawing immediately. I enjoy the creation part in drawing. I create images of my world to convey the feelings I experience to people. I teach others so they can express their inner world through paintings to everyone around. So they can create their paintings or paint from life and have great pleasure, because painting is a huge joy. I love it when everything around becomes more beautiful and better, when people are happy. I'm evolving in painting, using new techniques or methods, and also creating them myself. And I also learn a lot about the authors, the ones who lived before us and used various techniques. I choose oil for the reason that oil painting is closer to me and easier to convey what I want. To convey to the viewer using oil paints. After all, the possibilities of oil paints don't overwhelm. I create original paintings and work on original techniques, inventing new plots, and I come up with interesting stories myself. Nature, both live and recorded music, inspire me greatly, as do photographs. The most stunning paintings by other artists, exhibitions, galleries, museums, all of it. Sculptures and animals also deeply inspire me. I exhibit in galleries, have a contract from a gallery, and also have my own gallery. My courses proceed all the best to adults, and absolutely anyone can engage in it. There are various courses, including live ones. There are masterclasses, and there are online ones. And you can watch online masterclasses from any device, anywhere in the world. About painting, oil painting, these are still lifes, portraits, landscapes, multi-layer painting, and greenhouses, palette knives, and much more. People study painting to connect with beauty. Creativity, of course. The most interesting thing for a person is to create something. Creativity is what completely captivates a person, and they immerse themselves in it and create their own worlds. I very much wish all students and artists to engage with painting to grow and develop. Feel this niche, make it kinder and more honest. Clean, bright, to have no negative works, only positive ones.
Dear friends, my name is Olga Bazanova, with you in the painting studio of Olga Bazanova. Today, dear friends, we will be with you to write an interesting painting, which will depict in principle Flemish painting. Well, of course, in the technique of alla prima. Shall we begin? I'm going to use a number 10 beveled brush for sketching, or I could use a number 8. Here I have cadmium yellow light, or even lemon. This is cadmium yellow medium. This is ochre yellow, cadmium red, titanium white, indigo, Mars brown dark. You can take craplak pink, purple pink, quinacridone, either magenta or purple pink quinacridone. Since I have different paints right now, and paint is not a master class. At the moment, then I will just show you how to mix, and how to mix from purple pink quinacridone. And for example, cadmium red, you can get craplak pink, but I, in this case, like to use ready-made crepe lac. So I will be ready. Here blue evzes, here green evze a little bit, and you can add a little bit of grass green. That's basically it. These colors should be enough for you to paint a picture. I'm going to start with brownish ochre shades to make a proper outline. Since my canvas is more vertical, I'm going to enlarge this tabletop situation a little bit. That is, I'm making it a little bit higher here, so the dogwood berries here will be more transparent. Next we have apricot here. It's almost, if we look, it's coming from us, well, it's like a peach. It's about the size of a peach here. Through the brown shades, we're just marking through the ochre brown. This size, why? Because there should be a space under the plum. I've deliberately marked it so you could see where I wanted to put the apricot. Well, we're going to have a peach because we have a larger format. There's some plums in the background. They'll be taller. Look, now the important thing, they're taller than this fruit here. Why they're taller is because they're further away and they're behind this fruit here. And so when they're further away, they appear taller on the tabletop. The next one right here is going to go this way. This is where these are going to be cuttings right here. Next, we're looking at the back of the countertop. This is what it's all resting on. This is the main part of the grape. Of course, the easiest thing for us to do is to first visualize where the stick of this grape is going to be. And notice what we're going to find on the left third. So here's the rule of the golden ratio. Rule 3, put a point on the third. You see a third on the vertical of the canvas. And now we lead the diagonal so that it came almost to the middle of the canvas. Maybe a little lower. Yes, this is the diagonal. This is a twig. The branch that we're going to have at the laza. Yes. A sprig of vine. Now we're going to take from simple shapes. Look, here we make a ball like this, as if we're making another ball. And then we make a balloon like this one right here. 3 balls. Such a snowman you see from simple shapes. This is how we should always place the whole composition from simple shapes. It will be easier if you do not work with transfer pictures and so on. That is, further, we should put the distant fruit so that it was higher than this fruit by 2 centimeters at least, so that we had a possibility to push it there in space. Here are some more leaves that will stick up. Here a leaf will stick up here and so on. Grapevine, you and I will prescribe a little later, as I'll show you. That is, all these elements are already on top of this bunch, the main balls. When you do, it will be clearer to you what goes where. Here will be a nut, a split hazelnut, and you and I need to outline, without drawing anything, the movement of the leaf. Look what an interesting thing. We're doing, like, you see, it's like a straight across. This movement is like pulling the bowstring. And now we put a point. Here is 2 centimeters from here. And here is a distance of about 3 centimeters. And make a movement like this. Look what a funny little thing. Because it will be a wrapped leaf in the future. And the movement of the leaf will go here. Now, while it is not important, do not draw much, because we all the same, practically all this will be painted on us. We make the far part of the leaf and go to the movement here. Look, this is where the leaf will go. It's an unusual angle of the leaf. Here's a movement to do approximately. That is, we look at this leaf a little bit from below. So we see it from below a little bit in this part. And we also see some movement. The leaf consists of these branches, and this movement is that part of the leaf. Now let's look at the next sheet, and we'll put a point. This point will be to the right than the center of the leaf. Somewhere on a couple of centimeters, we put a point. And from this point, we make a movement here to the branch at a slight angle that is, you see, not straight, but a little bit like this. Slightly, but not lying down practically. And the second movement is at a distance of about 90 degrees here, almost like this. We've made a hint of this leaf, and now we have to move upwards. We practically have these two sheets looking at each other. And now we with you these particles of movements of these leaves depict here and here and here and here. We can't see it, it's almost flat. The movement of the butterfly is just at an angle. These two wings are hints, nothing else. Now I'll take a large brush, I'll take bristles, but you can take synthetics. I'm going to dip the large brush in thinner. Today, by the way, I'm using thinner. I'm going to show you this one. This is mineral spirits for oil paints. I'll take a darker brown now, maybe even with indigo, and paint this part. It's okay to paint over, because we're going to have this over the top. There will even be a leaf, but it will be on top. We'd rather wipe the leaf, but under it we'll wipe the paint. That's how it's shaped. We're going to go more into brown tones. We're going to start adding paint in brown colors. A little bit of ochre. Ochre on the right side. We're brushing the paint onto the canvas. Would you like me to show you an interesting variation of this? When you paint Flemish still lifes, for example, look what an interesting story. You can print two pictures at once, black and white, for example, a picture and a colored picture, and the first layer to form a black and white picture. Now, a thin layer of paint. In the far background there too, we will see a leaf. But for now, a thin layer of paint, ochre, and I am starting to add a reddish to the ochre, a warmer shade. See, you just need an idea of where the leaves are going to be, but you don't need to draw them out yet. Even these leaves here, which we're going to have on the darker background, we're doing that as well. We'll add some reddish tones too. Brown and red shades from the stain. Yes, this is how the alla prima technique works. Then brown, then we go with the ochre shade. We'll add whitewash and cadmium red and yellow. Finally, we add these shades. The lighter shades. Through the dark, through brown cover, the areas of shadows under the objects, even if you drive on the objects, is not terrible. Under some objects, even a little reddish. Now we need to do this part, the bottom, through brown and red. A whitish pink with beige. Brown and red down here. Neatly done. A little yellow, red, brownish. The reddish brown went here. Then red, a little yellowish, shimmery movement. And now, when we have formed more or less background, we will now darken first our grapes, and darken can be taken as a basis for this tone. We take, for example, orange, well, such or yellow with ochre. A little bit of brownish or even indigo, it will add greenness to this background greenness, such a light ochre shade. We can even go over the leaves with this color so that they do not stick out at us white paint, because we will then write them through the green. It won't interfere with us. Not in any case, not this moment here or here. You see how even wipes the canvas from the dark paint on the fresh paint. See, it wipes off amazingly well, and later on we can form the leaves we need. The next moment I take a little ochre yellowish and continue with the same shades of ochre to paint our canvas. It's much easier to work from a stain, especially those who have not tried and still work from spots and worked from the drawing. Try it for sure, you will like it very much. I, of course, realize that the underpainting will look like I have now, but believe me, much more interesting and more qualitative will be further work if you learn to work from spots. Yes, I'm going to take a number 8 brush. I've got a narrower, thinner brush, and I'll use warm yellow shades. You can use any yellow warm shade. You add brown, and that's it. I take yellow, it's cadmium yellow light, and I take whitewash a little bit, and just like that, neatly. I filled the background with brown dark paint with the addition of a little indigo, and here through the addition of ochre, well, or yellow, a little with red in the right part. In the meantime, I'm starting to paint the grapes a little bit like this. Also, when you write the grapes themselves, do not go into each grape in such detail, because if you start to redraw, all the grapes can be tortured. So that you do not get tortured, you catch the right concept of this grape in general, and do not need to draw or redraw each. So you visualize where the grapes are going. You look in general that they are directed, one overlaps the other, and that they go what a bunch, and orient yourself more on it. Because if you will be there half a millimeter back and forth, you have a grape differently. You do not need to blame yourself in this. You may have some grape eaten and some grape you just ignored, and in some place maybe you even have more grapes. And maybe you have ladyfingers grapes at all, which is to say, quite safely you can do it. Now I continue for now with the grapes and give light to the place where the glare penetrates here. On the right side, they are darker. So I start to add a little bit more ochre shades in the shadows, and I'm going to gently brush it in with my hand. Here you'll see the peach will be now. On this side, the ochre shades you see are not very bright. That is everything that we see on the right side. It's not so bright, darker than grapes. Some yellow and orange elements. Now we begin to form the main bunch. In the multi-layer technique, of course, our work is more interesting. Do you know why? Because we divide it into layers, and it's a pleasure to paint in the multi-layer technique, because then we have more opportunities to make masterpieces. And now I take brownish with pinkish, I add on grapes like this, that is, grapes will be different shades. And then also highlights, some reddish brownish shades. Then we continue with each berry. You can, by the way, even with a cotton swab, you know, a convenient thing if you soak it in thinner and mark where you will have grapes later. Here, for example, one grape went here. There's a few more grapes in the far background. They can even turn blue. I can see from the shades. We will give them a dusting later. Here also through pinkish with white. Directly on yellow shade, on ochre shade here. You see, we added a little bit of pink with whites to the colors and got these grapes. Then up here, a few darker grapes. Through the pink first and through the yellow below with whitewash. Through the pink again. Through the yellow with whitewash. Keep going here through the dark. You can even add blue here from the stain. Today we're painting, I'll show you everything. Exactly like this. When we work with oil painting, we have the opportunity, unlike with watercolor, to work correctly with oil painting and accordingly with multiple layers. And in the alla prima technique too, we work through multi-layering in the painting. Especially those who are the first time with us. Now I realize that maybe especially those who came for the first time, maybe they have no idea what lies ahead. This is where I add nuance. To write on puzzles as if initially wrong, that is, on puzzles is when in pieces, when in one place a piece, the second, that is such a technique. Especially it is used in photography and hyperrealism, but it is not a painterly technique at all, that is. That is, this on puzzles, when they write, still need to use underpainting, the rules of oil painting. Well, I've sketched out where we will have approximately all these grapes. Maybe I'll add a few more things from myself. In shadows, we will have them through dark, through cherry, through some shades of brownish. Well, it will definitely happen now, later. We're going to start working with a slightly thinner brush. Here we use such a technique when you see. We are now painting something that is more complicated. Yes, that is, we paint in the technique alla prima. When one layer is not dry, when we work immediately with color, not with tonality, we made only a substrated through tonality, yes. And you can imagine there will be an opportunity to paint details. Without all these unnecessary moments, when your paint does not lie down. Yes, or is mixed unnecessarily. That is the technique itself. It seems to be so beautiful and seems to be difficult, but in fact, even someone who has not even painted a picture yet can cope. Can you imagine how unexpected? Yes, I continue detailing further grapes. And also now I will continue to make these details through such cherry, through dark plums. I'm working with the same brush, round brush number 3, but don't believe your eyes, it's number 2. And here I make a spot through the pinkish on the plum and through the dark. Here we have a plum. Blue, red, dark areas. The far plum is also through these dark shades. We're painting it. A little lighter shade of purple. This is pink. This is a bluish shade. This is for the plum. And over here as well. Here around this future element. whitewash a little bit and extinguish them necessarily. Do not knead them brightly. I will extinguish them through the pink. Soft transitions. And then here we continue through the dark coloring. Then here we continue to work through the dark paint as a background. We see a lot of details. Here we see even through red and black. Well, indigo, you can take this branch, which goes beyond the limits of our canvas. Ochre and a little red paint on these buds. Then through the brown, also with a thin brush, just thin, we work with red paint. Through ochre in a small degree, even whitewash can be used here. You see, through the ochre, we can even add orange. There are several layers here, the leaves, as we can see. Well, because the leaf is located, it is divided into several parts. And here is one part. The second we see goes to the far background. Here too, some leaf. Here I also added shadows for contrast under the fruit. Soft blending to the background. You can do it with a brush. You can do it directly with your hand. Now I take red. Here is a barberry. The berries are so red. I'll add cadmium red, a few elements. Through cadmium red, and now whitewash. Also look so that a lot of coloring is not put. Here too we'll have greens. I take yellow. You can even, green FZ, slightly add to this color. Slightly, and here are the thin elements on our leaf. Even add a little bit of whitewash on the edge of the leaf. We made further this part of the leaf yellow. I'll take a slightly larger brush, grass green. Together with this shade, it covers the leaf. Yellow, a little green. And I've made the veins there in the far background, and I want to make veins. Here are some light ones. It's on a large amount of diluent, takes lemon paint, And just like this thin brush with a single is made. Grass green comes in here, also next to it. Then under it, the shadow, through red and a little bit of this even here green FZ with pink, mix the color. It will be just amazing, deep, dark color. And now I take this color with green and I get a shadow here. A little bit darker on the curve of the tabletop. Now some red berries, and I want to add red with pink. Here with brownish to smooth out this shadow here. And to get this apricot or peach right here to blend into our space right here. I also want to do a brown thing here that you can't see here. And I want to add a little bit of yellow to it with white. The red takes the berries again, the barberries. One, two, and three berries here. Now I'll take the cadmium red a little brighter and I'll add it to the coloring here. I'll add whitewash. I'll take a little indigo now. I could even go with grass green or green FZ, but more indigo. And I'll add a sprig. This is the kind of sprig that's kind of spread into particles, like the berries have been taken off here already. A little bit of cherry with a darker shade under the berries. Let's go on. We have this part here. We'll leave it like this for now. Let's go to our branch. I'll work with it through ochre, a little bit of red, a little bit of whitewash. Here it's like a crack here on the branch, and here the vine went here. I add more reddish, a little whitewash on the cut, whitewash and yellow. And we come out to this part here. Orange red branch. Reddish, even with a pink base. And we add brown too. In the shady parts here, yellow here or orange and red. I mean yellow, warm. This is where this branch comes out. I've done it by covering the leaf a little bit. Now we'll use brown. The texture here, see, on the branch. Striped lines like this. Now I'll do the opposite, orange with red and whites. Orange, red. these details are best done dry. Then we take a little yellow and make a hook to round the vine. Yellow with whitewash. It is not necessary to make a branch exactly in the same way. That is, it is important to give the right direction. Further, we continue with grapes. We still have a bunch is not finished. We will continue with grapes in such a way that we will take again this lilac shade with whitewash. And now I am laying just these shades, the lightest dusting on the left side of the grapes. The same thing, we also work with yellow paint to lighten up. On the left side, we have such a bright light. Rastushchevki soft. We take white again. The rosebuds have a little more dusting. Even on those grapes up there, we soften the glare. Look, you can soften it and put a glare inside it and soften it again. You get such a good point. Then we have prescribed this part of the grapevine. We go to the distant leaves. Here are the most interesting leaves, grass, green, and yellow. Yellow more. Shape that far piece first. We're done. Now we'll take a lighter yellow with whitewash. We'll make a movement. Remember the movement we planned here? Through yellowish white shades. And the bottom part will be done through yellow, green, FZ. You can even add in a small degree, but not brightly. Look, this is so much bright. Not necessary. If suddenly dirty the brush, it is good. The far petal. Now we're not drawing first, like this. A few of these strokes, which we have the shape of that leaf, repeats once again. We take whitewash and in a small degree green FZs and grass green, because here we need a cooler shade on the leaf. further grass green and warm yellow. Yellow and green, with a lot of thinner. We've painted this piece, and now we're going to paint this petal. I'll take red, a little pink, that is a little darker, and a little indigo. You can imagine how interesting these shades are. We'll combine it with the yellow paint of the previous one, and we'll get the edge. Brown, here with the pink shade. Here I've made some elements. Now I have only the background to go here. It's also with reddish and brownish. And here we have a story here also with indigo. In the far background here, we drew grass green, with a darker coloring brush, and it creates at once irregular, uneven details, which we need for the naturalness of the leaf. Now we'll take a darker, once again, green with brown can. White and yellow, the edge of the petal, these are the clearer details. There's a glare here too, all over the surface, and of course the detailing here. With a thin brush, we're just detailing the shape itself. And look here, we can also use the outer background to help and remove unnecessary details. Next piece. I'm going to work with the background here. I'm going to add some more shadows here. Through brown and green, I'll add a darker bridge here, and then I'll do the leaf below. I've added a little bit of shadow here like this. Also with the same color, without whitewash, of course. Now it's orangey ochre. This part of the leaf is going to be a reddish shade, a little bit on this leaf too. Some of it will go on this leaf and some of it will go here. The reddish brown will go from the leaf to the lower part of the leaf to these veins. Next leaf, we'll take a large brush again. We take yellow and light green. Form this place where the butterfly will sit. Yellow and green, you can even add green FZ, these small details. A little green FZ brown. You can go with green FZ or grass green. To darken this area, here the leaf is interesting. It goes, the color of it, that is, it is light on the edge, then it goes darker, and then it goes light. Again, as if because through the leaf shines through our beauty of sunlight. Here's the sunlight, it kind of penetrates. The far leaf we also do through some browns. Green a little bit thrown on. Yellowish green shades thrown here and here. Here is a butterfly. I make a cherry base for the butterfly. And the far wing of the butterfly will be indigo. Now I'm going to take a little bit of pink and red. And that's how a few pinkish shades appeared. On the butterfly, I'll take a light shade here, whitewash. And gray bluish shades directly to the body of the butterfly here. A few more shades of cream, a lot of little details. Of course, the butterfly needs detailing, but with this small brush, it's just drawing. And this left leaf here, red and pink. You can even add indigo, it swells through the red hues up. I'm taking red and even orange a little bit, or yellow now. Red and yellow. In the background, of course, the background is very dark. Once again, we can go deep here. We'll have nuts now. We'll take yellow and ochre again. Without any brightness, we can add a little bit of lemon. A little bit of grass. There's a little nut here. Through the greenish brown, and then through yellow and white, these highlights on them, on the nuts, brown, around it, the shadow under it, brown and red paint. Right next to the peanut here, brown, we'll put a darker color, and then through the ochre shell, of course, there will also be shadows. There's going to be shadows everywhere here. We're now moving on to the grapes come back, and then detailing the leaves. We start off the same color, pinkish and bluish. We're also working on the left side. This is all neatly circled. We are now observing a bunch of bunches, which is also illuminated on the left side. And it came out of the gloom here. We set the glare. With each berry, we're getting closer to completing our bunch. Here it is, soft pollen dusting, dusting. The berries have a little pinkish shade here, bluish. Now we take yellow paint and highlight each berry like this. Yellow. Whitewash with a little pink. These reddish shades of reddish, just like this here. Brown and red on some of the grapes. Start darkening these on the left side of the grapes too. Here also through the red on the grapes, they're like this. Look how different they are. Yellow. A little blue-white with pinkish on these parts. I'm going to step back for a second to see how it is from afar. And of course, the all-around most admirable thing about this particular technique is when you paint in multiple layers. People often don't believe in their own abilities. Although everyone has possibilities, isn't it? Here's a little bit of whitewash and highlights too. In shades, that's it, the detail is fine. I'm going to step back now just to look at it from the side because I can't see it up close. And then we'll continue, right? Yes, I see it. I'll continue with the yellow ones. I'm going to take a little bit of paint. Yellow, white. Okay, and that's what I wanted to do with these pieces. Well, of course, the technique of layering, it gives much more possibilities. The result will exceed all expectations when layering is present. Because this series, of course, to write in the technique of multi-layering, and this very picture also to write the technique of multi-layering, this is what you will make the picture more qualitative. More detailed. Here we also have a vine that twists and turns. I'm adding a little bit of red, a little bit. I'm adding a little bit of shadow to the vine. We also have a vine here. In some parts, it's even lighter, like a glare. Pure whitewash, pure pink, a little bit of pink. And I'm going to pull the bunch of grapes into the light. This part, just like this, gently, with a little bit of paint. I'm going to take this brush, it's already unpainted, and I'm going to soften it a little bit more. I want to bring out some of the light in the left side of the bunch of grapes. And I also want to add a subtle sense of light in a few of the shadowy moments. See, it's like they're going to lighten up. the bunch of grapes a little bit more, but it's not necessary. Otherwise, they'll kind of lose their beauty. Well, now I can actually write this picture. And you yourself realize that I would be happy not to stop this process and we would spend the night together. That's how the saying goes, because I would gladly prescribe, well, we do prescribe a lot of this kind of stuff, layering techniques. So I'm going to stop now. And Albina will show you something interesting now.
Dear friends, we together with Olga invite you to the course, How to Start Painting in Oil. If you have dreamed of learning to paint but did not know where to start, our course is for you. We offer quality and systematic training that will help you develop your talent and reach new heights in painting. With our step-by-step masterclasses, you will start painting much faster than with self-study. This course is for you if you are a beginner painter. Refresh your knowledge, improve your skills. We have gathered all the essentials an artist needs to learn, from how to mix paints to choosing an easel. We use a convenient and correct system of taking the course, which will allow you to systematize your knowledge and move at a comfortable speed. All your works Olga will check personally and give you valuable instructions that will help you improve your technique and learn a lot of new techniques and methods of writing. This course is guaranteed to help you if you want to know what the advantage of oil technique in painting is, do not know the basic laws of perspective and how to build a picture, do not understand how to mix the right color from the available paints, do not know how to do the construction of pencil on canvas, want to learn more than 20 techniques of brush and mastichin. What results will we get after the course? Understanding the basic painting techniques, you will be introduced to different types of brushes, paints, and how to apply paint to canvas, and learn how to work with color, tone, shading, and light shading to create realistic images. You will improve your drawing skills, learn to draw basic shapes and structures, and apply this knowledge to your painting through practice and feedback from the instructor and other students. You will be more confident in using your painting and drawing skills. At the end of the course, you will be able to create your own works of art based on the techniques you have learned. How will we achieve the outcome? The end result of a painting course for beginners can vary greatly depending on the level of diligence and talent of each student. However, our course is put together by a professional in oil painting, so that all artists will be able to systematize their knowledge and apply it after the course. To achieve meaningful results, it is important to put enough time and effort into practicing and self-study. Friends, follow the link you have below the video of today's broadcast. You also have it in the chat room. Get acquainted in more detail with the course itself, read Olga's creative biography. And also on this site you can see examples of works that Olga herself has written. And now you can see them on your screen. Also on the site there are paintings that were painted by Olga's students. Now you can see them. Be sure to read the reviews that Olga's students have left. There are several of them here. And now we are moving on to the course program, How to Start Painting in Oil. The course program consists of several stages. Stage first. Here you will have your own personal glossary, that is, a list of terms with their definitions in the field of painting, so that you can better understand this field. Also, course materials. This is all you will have in stage 1, the introduction stage. Moving on to stage 2, the practice stage. This is theory and practicing with pencil. Here you will learn what you need to choose an easel, what you need to choose paints, brushes, canvases, types of solvents and their applications, what varnishes are and why they are needed. Other related artist materials, basics of linear perspective, composition, and the rule of thirds. Next, pencil practice. We paint everyday objects, paint animals, paint objects of nature, practice draping, and it's a total of 53 hands-on workshops. Next, we learn how to mix paints. This is mixing simple colors, mixing shades, and combining colors. The techniques of working with brushes and masticins. Here you will learn 10 techniques of work with brushes and 10 techniques of work with masticin. The next stage is practice. We paint in oil the details of a seascape, elements of nature, fruits and vegetables, sun, moon, sky. Landscapes in oil. We will write spring, summer, autumn, winter landscapes. Still life in cold colors, still life in warm colors, still life a combination of warm and cold tones. So, in front of you are examples of paintings from the course, which we will write with you. The first subject, it is a spring landscape, summer landscape, autumn landscape. We will also paint a winter landscape together with you. Still life in warm colors. This is the construction of the composition and mixing of warm tones, work with tonality and highlights, the transfer of brightness of color. Still life in cold colors here, we also make a composition. Mixing of cold shades, work with tonality and highlights. Still life combination of warm and cold colors. Here we combine cold and warm colors. Author's techniques, writing hydrangea. We will also write such a cat. Cat on the fence. Ways of writing the coat, you will learn the construction of the correct proportions of the torso of the cat. Pug. Construction of correct proportions of the dog's torso. Construction of the muzzle. Ways of writing the coat. This course is for those who want to understand the advantage of oil paints, learn the basic laws of perspective and how to build a picture, master the skill of sketching with a pencil, learn to mix shades of different complexity, practice your skills in different genres of painting. And now I'll tell you how you can enroll in the course. We have 3 packages. The first package is the minimum package. It's a non-refundable package with 9 detailed masterclasses on theory, 53 detailed masterclasses on practice, and you have access to the course forever. Also, good news, there is a discount on this package right now. While it used to cost $140, it's $74 today until midnight. The next package is the standard package, a package with feedback from our curator. Also, 9 detailed theory masterclasses, 53 detailed practice masterclasses. You also have access to the course forever. Technical support on the course you will have. Closed group in Contact for discussion of works. Guarantee that at the end of the course you will independently write a picture and the curator will check your work and homework. The price without discount was previously $379 and today it is priced until midnight $183. And the next package is the ultimate package. It's a feedback package with Olga. That is, Olga will personally check your work and homework. You also get a certificate of completion when you complete this course. The price without the discount was $596, and it is $291 today until midnight. To join the course, click on the Buy Abroad button. And before you do that, you just need to decide on a membership package and a reminder that these discounted prices are valid today until midnight. And friends, if you still have any questions on how to join this course, please leave an application form. You need to enter your name, email address, phone number, click 2 check marks, and press the submit button. And then today, our managers will contact you, answer all your questions, and also help you with payments, if suddenly you have any difficulties with payments. I want to draw your attention to how you can still contact us. By phone number 88112-333-8838. Email us at olgabazanova.art. You can write to us on WhatsApp and any social networks.
Yes, by the way, the branches on the plums, I honestly forgot. So I'm going to make a few movements through the ochre and greenish ones like this. It goes the other way over here. The branches on the plums, yes. And through the browns in the shade. Well, that's how I hinted. I'll probably not even do it any lighter anymore so as not to distract the overall attention. Yes, dear friends, I look forward to seeing you on this most beautiful classic course, How to Start Painting in Oil. And see you later. Goodbye.